Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today I'm going to show you a technique for stamping on washi tape. Washi tape can become part of a fabulous dimensional background for stamped cards. And here you can see I actually have 4 layers going on the front of my card in this section here. So first you can see the pink and the purple. This is Spectrum Noir alcohol ink refills that I've brayered on. Then my second layer is the washi tape that you can see here. The third layer is stamping. I've got the script here, and you can see these big circles here. Those have been stamped. And then the fourth is what I call partial embossing. So I think even as I wiggle this, you can see, like on these circles, some of them have a heat embossed glittery gold effect to them, and some areas of them do not. So same with the scripts. There's some sparkly, glittery embossing down here, but then not up here at the top. So it's kind of a partial embossing, and that's done with an ink pad. So a lot going on, really fun and really easy to do. So why don't we start with the background, and then we'll kind of work our way forward till we get to the embossing. So I'm going to start with a piece of white matte cardstock, kind of a standard weight, and my alcohol ink refill. So these are designed to refill the Spectrum Noir alcohol ink pens, but of course they can be used on their own as well. And I'm working with PL1, which is this pretty pink, and HB3. And I also need to have a brayer to do the brayering, and this is a little handheld rubber brayer from Ranger. And I'm going to start with the pink because it's the lightest color, and just simply take this off. It's got a like an eyedropper or dropper sort of applicator, and I'm squeezing some right onto my craft sheet. And then I'm going to take my brayer and just kind of pick that up, roll it through there and pick that up, and then just brayer the color onto my piece of cardstock. Now you can brayer it as thoroughly or as lightly as you want to. And then I'm just going to swoop up the leftover of this and make sure I have the cap on. Tip number 1, always make sure you put the cap back on these. Then I'm going to take the purpley blue, add a little bit more here, and then just repeat the process, just picking up some of that color and going the other way, like so. And I usually like to do batches of these backgrounds because once you get going, it's so much fun and you can create some really cool designs. So immediately I've got a really nice, pretty background. I'm just going to clean this up off my craft sheet, and then I will be ready to add the second part. So this dries basically immediately, and then I can go ahead and add my washi tape on there. So the 3 washi tapes that I'm working with, I have a solid purple design, lavender purple. I have this black with a little faint pattern of dots on it, which you'll see when I put it down. And then I also have this really pretty pink. So I'm going to start with the pink, and if you've not worked with washi tape before, we explore washi tape quite a lot on Studio SN. It's one of my favorite supplies. You can see it's just like a lightweight masking tape, and it tears really easily. You can just tear it right off the roll. It is slightly transparent, so whatever color paper I put it down onto, it will show through. So I'm just going to pop this down here and then add that little bit on the end. So then I'm going to take my second one here, which is this black dot, pull that off. And this one is a little bit more opaque because it's so dark. And then just pop that down on there as well. And then I would just continue on to create my pattern. Now with this, I can either trim this off with scissors or also just wrap that around there. So once I add all of my tape on here, as you can see, I have a design that looks like this. Now you could leave this as it is because it actually looks really pretty, but I want to add some more texture on here. So I'm going to do some stamping and then heat embossing with that stamp design. So I'm going to bring in a piece of white paper, just scrap paper to work on, and my stamps, and I want to have my ink pad, and I also want to make sure I have my embossing powder on hand as well. Now the stamps that I'm working with are from the Eclectica range from PaperArtsy, and this is ESN10. And the ones that I'm going to use, the big circles you see here, as well as this pretty script. Now, I'm a big quote fan, which is why I always wanted to include some quotes on my Eclectica stamp set. So I have "Hope is a waking dream." Now, if I can bring back in my card, I wanted to show you, though, I only used one word from the quote. So I've only used the word dream on here. And I'm going to show you how to mask off the other areas of the quote so that you can make your own words. So those are the ones that I'm using from this stamp set. And I'm going to start with my script stamp. I've got that already mounted on my block, and I also have my circles mounted. I'm stamping with Colorbox Plumeria chalk ink. And for this technique, it's important to use ink that is not dye-based, but something that's either chalk or a pigment ink, something that will stay wet longer because we are going to be doing some embossing. So this one works beautifully. And I'm just going to ink this up. I know I'm only using a portion of the design, so I'll just ink up the center of it and pop that down here on the side, working fairly quickly. I'm going to come back with my circles and repeat the process. Go ahead and add those circles up here, going over my washi tape, and then just give another quick re-ink, and I had another circle down here. Again, working very quickly. I'm just going to open up this piece of paper and sprinkle on my embossing powder lightly. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing because it's just a partial embossing, but I do want to get enough on there so that it sticks to some of that still wet ink. And then I'm going to tap that off and tap it off this way. And then I can use this as a funnel to get the rest of my embossing powder on there. So you can see on here, the embossing powder has stuck to some of the stamped area, but not to everything, which is what I want. If you get some embossing powder that's just kind of floating here on the background, I actually really like that because it just creates a pretty sparkly effect. And the embossing powder that I'm working with is from Wow, and this is the Pearl Gold Sparkle embossing powder. It's one of my favorites. So I'm going to slide this out of the way, and again I would just use that cardstock to funnel it back into the jar. And again, here is the embossing powder that I'm using from Wow. Then I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. You don't want to over emboss, especially because you've got some of the washi tape covered on here. If you hold that heat embossing tool on there too long, it will start to, warp this a little bit. But then once you're done, you can kind of smooth that out too. But, just to avoid that, it's best not to overheat it. And then when you're done with that, you will have a piece that looks like this. Now, I did mention the dream down here, and I want to show you how I've done that. So again, it is the Hope is a Waking Dream stamp on here. And what I've done is put it up onto my clear acrylic block. I'll slide this aside. And basically what you want to do is just mask off all of the areas that have words that you don't want. I'm just using clear tape. You could probably also use washi tape for it if you wanted to. So I'm just covering the words that I don't want. And that's waking, and then dream is right here, so I'm going to skip that one. And then pop this part down here as well. And let me just bring in a white piece of cardstock. Then with the same Plumeria ink pad, I'm just going to go ahead and ink this up, really focused more on the word that I want. Then I'm going to, this is the important step, pull off this tape and set it aside so that the only section that is inked is the word that I want. So like that. And then I can just get a partial of my stamp, and then I have kind of two stamps in one. You could do the same thing with the word hope, and that would be really pretty. So I stamped that word dream just right directly onto my background here, and then I have a little bit of a focal point on there as well. So this is how you can use washi tape with stamping to create unique layered cards. If you do like this technique, you might want to check out my book, which is called 20 to Make Washi Tape Cards. And the book features 20 washi tape techniques. It also has 20 alternate cards in there as well. So you can see on here, I've got one design, complete instructions, and then an alternate featuring the same technique on there as well. So lots of really fun, cool designs in there. The book is available from the award-winning UK publisher Search Press, and it's available in craft stores and online worldwide. I hope you enjoyed today's show. For more ideas and inspiration, please stop by my website at saranaumann.com. Thank you for joining me on Studio SN, and I will see you again next time.